Okay, so advanced care planning has had a lot of not terribly useful press during COVID, but it's an old concept that the public have only recently heard of. So advanced care planning is planning ahead for our care as life happens. And antenatal care is an example of advanced care planning. You plan your care through your pregnancy and the type of birth that you want. So the parallel still stands. So it's about what matters most to me, and declaring it to people who'll be able to speak if we're not well enough to be able to speak. Now, you could do that in an informal way, by saying, I looked after a lady who used to manage a care home, and the local undertaker would regularly come to take residents who had died away, and they then would attend the resident's funeral. And she was a very devout Catholic, this lady. And eventually she died in our care in a hospice where I was working. And I don't usually go to patients' funerals, but I went to her funeral. And when I got there, she'd had the Catholic tradition of having been brought into church the night before. So she was already in her coffin at the front of church by the time we arrived. And her coffin was crimson. It was needle cord crimson with the pine trim around the edge and the brass handles. And when the priest came out to say Mass, he was in red robes. And he began Mass by saying, well, some of you may be a little bit startled by what Agnes has chosen to wear this morning. But it turns out that she'd said to this undertaker, and she'd said to her priest, if you put me in one of those plain pine coffins, I'm going to come back and haunt you.
You've been listening to the CARECast. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episodes and find out more about the work of CARE on care.org.uk.